Now, I will admit this right off the bat, this list is kinda dumb. It's not one that makes a whole lot of sense, and not one anyone was really thinking of. But hear me out. There are funny games. Games that are genuinely humorous, meant to make you laugh, and they do. There are unintentionally funny games. Games so bad that they are actually good. But then, for me at least, there are a bunch of genuinely good games that are funny in ways they probably weren't supposed to be. These games aren't bad, but whatever the case may be, maybe they have hilarious mistranslations or typos, funny bad dialogue, or maybe just something about the game is inherently funny. Either way, these are my top 10 good games that are unintentionally funny. This list does not make any sense, and it's going to be pretty inconsistent, but it's one that I've thought about for a while, so just humor me for the next however long this video is. Hi guys, EPX here, counting down what I just told you. And before we get started, you know what to do. Be sure to like this video, subscribe, and hit the bell, and leave a comment, or I will make you so bad you're actually good. And you don't want to be like that.
I wanted to give to you, the last part of your notes here, the significance spiritually of the number 10 in the Bible.
Altered Beast is a game that, okay, maybe it's not that good. Go back and play this game today, and it hasn't held up that well, like, at all. However, it is very important to the history of Sega. It is rather iconic for the company, as it even predates Sonic, and is one of the earliest examples of voice acting in video games. Maybe that's not entirely true, but still, it has its mark. But it's also really funny. I mean, there are two famous lines from this game that have become memes and still kinda get quoted a lot. One is, "Welcome to your doom," and the other is, "Rise from your grave," which has probably transcended this game. Like, did some of you guys even know that those lines were from this game? But even then, when you die, the yell that the main character lets out, I still can't help but laugh at that. It's also a weirdly slow game, like the game just moves very slowly, and you got a game that, although very important in many ways, is also very funny. One game that I don't talk about, like, ever, but I actually play a lot on my downtime is Peggle. It's a silly yet very engaging game where you shoot a ball and try to hit other balls, but you beat the level once you hit all the orange balls, or pegs is what they're called. All the while, you unlock new abilities the more you play that help you beat the levels, and you only get 10 shots to do so. It's a very addictive game, but why is it funny? Well, look at it. It looks so simple and inoffensive, but there are times where you can actually sweat in this game. Like getting so close to hitting the final orange peg with all the anticipation, being on the edge of your seat, only to miss and then to have a panic attack over that. Or you hit it and it's like the most hype thing ever. Hell, there is a competitive scene for this game, and a speedrunning scene, both of which are still pretty active and pretty engaging to watch. Peggle is one of those games that's a real nail-biter. But it's funny because, well, I said all that to describe what you're looking at right now. A lot of people like to point at Sonic Adventure as a game that really has not held up well. And for the most part, I like to disagree. Actually, I don't really know about that, because this game has not held up well in many aspects. But what I do know is that Sonic Adventure is still a very fun game to play, but it is also very funny. I don't know if it's Sonic's walking animation, or his talking animation, or some of the dialogue in the game, but although the gameplay is still perfectly enjoyable, I can't help but laugh at a lot of what's going on in this game. I don't really have much else to say here, really. Sonic Adventure is just a funny game.
36.
Very close, but that's not it. Let's go to Gary the Retard. What number between 2 and 4?
7.
Elder Scrolls is a prestigious franchise for sure. I mean, Skyrim is one of the best-selling games, and I cannot wait for Elder Scrolls 6 in the year 2037. But go back before Skyrim, and you get the fourth game of the franchise, Oblivion. Now, Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion is a genuinely good game. You see what I mean when I say these games aren't bad? But with that being said, what is Oblivion doing on this list? Well, you've seen the memes. It's the NPC interactions. These are just so funny. It makes sense that they spawned so many memes. Either the NPCs just don't want anything to do with you, or their conversations with you or each other just don't make any sense. And my god, that music. To be fair, it's not just the NPC music in the game, at least. On the internet it kind of is, but I don't know what it is about that song. Maybe it's just how peaceful it is or whatnot, but I can't help but chuckle hearing that over such goofy interactions. I will admit, it's not so much the game that's funny, it's more the internet made one part of this game very funny, but I think that is what secured Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion a spot on this list.
Okay, Mrs. Puff, what's my final score?
6.
Woo! Yearly sports games are somewhat bad. Look, if they are your jam, that's all good, but I don't personally buy them because they come out every year for $70 and they are always like all buggy and glitchy and sometimes lacking in content, and by the time they get fixed, the next one comes out. Even my beloved WWE games suffer from this, but I will buy those either on sale or if they are being offered for free on Game Pass or PS Plus. And when I do so, I do not take these games seriously at all. The WWE games have to be some of the most fun games to fuck around in. Specifically, just not take it seriously at all. It's probably very different for early adopters who spend $70 or maybe even more depending on which version of the game you got, but when you don't have to spend that much, downloading custom wrestlers, belts, and arenas from the community creations just makes the game so funny. Like you can do John Cena versus Eric Cartman or Roman Reigns versus Kermit the Frog. You truly can't go wrong with how goofy these wrestling games can get. And sure, maybe with these games, the developers kind of want you to fuck around in them. That's why the Creator Wrestler is so robust and has so many features that lets you make a character like Kermit the Frog. But all I do in these games is download goofy ass wrestlers and make them fight it out, and clearly these games were meant to be more than that. That's why it's unintentionally funny.
Oh, chills. Literal chills.
It was number 5. Number 5 killed my brother.
Oh my god, I forgot about that.
Fall Guys is a game that is just sort of chillin'. What I mean is it popped off really hard when it came out, but then fell off, but then came back, and now it seems like it's in a good spot where it exists, people play it, it gets updates, there's a lot of crossovers, and yeah, it's a fun game to go back to every now and then. And it's also really funny. Many things make Fall Guys a funny game. One is the inherent goofy nature of the game, and with that said, I'm starting to question the criteria for this list. But either way, it's got a cool premise, but the little jelly bean looking ass guys is what makes this game goofy. But then Fall Guys can be a very rage-inducing game. So many of the levels are such bullshit and have some really stupid obstacles in there that make you want to scream at the game. And it's fucking this game that you're screaming at. But then there are the other players sabotaging each other, like throwing each other, which makes people rage more. All the while, the game is all colorful with happy, upbeat music playing. That's what makes Fall Guys funny. Question: is Kingdom Hearts supposed to be taken seriously? Inherently, you mix Disney with Final Fantasy, which sounds bizarre already. But then you look at Mickey Mouse talking to some dark, shadowy figure, and it's all serious, and it's like, bro, am I supposed to be laughing right now? Kingdom Hearts comes across as unintentionally funny, but kind of like the rest of these games, in an endearing way, if that makes sense. I mean, you have characters crossing over that shouldn't be crossing over, but they do, and it became a beloved franchise with one of the most convoluted timelines in the history of timelines. It's so stupid, but I love it. The first 2 games, at least. Not to mention, the dialogue being very odd at times makes these games even funnier, and seeing some memes and edits that spawn from this series also helps. Have you ever seen Kingdom Hearts out of context? That shit is so funny. Kingdom Hearts is a very good game, with great gameplay and worlds and music and all that, but it is very goofy, and I'm not just talking about the character Goofy. Heavy Rain is a very depressing game. I mean, it starts with your main character's son getting hit by a car and dying, and then the rest of the game is about the main character being depressed about his son dying, and also his son gets kidnapped while his life dramatically changes, and you don't need me to get into further detail. But the fact of the matter is, Heavy Rain is a depressing game. So why is it so funny? Why is the dialogue often really funny? Why are the faces so goofy looking? And why well, you know.
Jason! 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 Sean! Sean!
Dad,
Sean!
I knew you would come and save me.
To be fair, those two are glitches. You're supposed to be looking for Jason and Sean respectively, and calling their name, but unfortunately the devs forgot to disable that during a cutscene, so you could just keep yelling Jason and Sean. Maybe Heavy Rain shouldn't be on this list, because it's mainly a glitch that makes this game so funny, but again, it does do a lot right, and is able to tell a sad story very well. It can just be really funny when not trying to be, but again, in an endearing way.
What kind of pencil do we take again?
Number 2. Take a number 2.
Looks like you took a big number 2.
What is the game that most people commonly refer to as the game that ruins friendships? Well, obviously that's Mario Party. Now, just to give myself less work, I am just showing the footage for Jamboree. When I say Mario Party, I mean the whole franchise. Every single Mario Party game is supposed to be a fun game, you know, a fun party game to play with your friends and family, but then by the end, everyone is burning the fucking place down in a fit of rage. What makes Mario Party so funny? Well, you could be winning and being actually good and smart with your decisions, but some bullshit minigame comes by, and now you're in last place. In some games, you land on a space and can get a star for literally no reason, and now you're in first place. In Jamboree specifically, you get a Jamboree buddy, which makes you fucking broken. There are certain minigames that are just luck-based, so you don't have to be good at all in order to win. You get a star for being bad. I can keep going, but I won't. Simply put, Mario Party is a funny, fun time.
I'm a Luigi, number 1.
Let me know if you heard this meme before. Ahem. All your base are belong to us. A hilarious mistranslation that has stood the test of time on the internet and is still quoted to this day. And it appeared in the 1989 arcade shoot-'em-up Zero Wing, that later came to the Sega Genesis and TurboGrafx-16. Again, it's best known for its hilarious mistranslations, but have you ever actually played Zero Wing before? Because it fucking slaps. This is a good-ass game, with fun and engaging action, badass music, and it also looks really good for the time. But all anyone ever talks about when it comes to Zero Wing is all your base are belong to us. But even then, there are more mistranslations than just that. The entire opening cutscene alone, which would be so cool, is littered with hilarious mistranslations. I don't even think there's a single line of text that's translated properly. It's because of this that Zero Wing is remembered as not a hidden gem arcade shmup, but a meme. It's a genuinely good game, but it's so unintentionally funny, and that's why it's number 1. So yeah, that was this list. Do you guys have any other games that like you kind of think are unintentionally funny, but like in an endearing way where the game is still really good? You know, these aren't games that are so bad they're good, because I feel like the game has to be bad. You know, you have to start with the game being bad. All these games, at least I don't think they're that bad. Well, this was a silly list idea. I don't know if you're really gonna be able to relate to this at all, but yeah, let me know what you guys think. And if you like the video, come subscribe, or I will make you so bad that you're actually good, and you don't want that.